Hello everyone, Dr. Tracy here. So I am going to take this opportunity in this video to go through and do a job search using some of the different job search engines. And this is some of the coaching that I could help you with if we ended up working together. I'm just going to go through based on a question that I asked in the group of the different types of jobs that you're looking for. I'll occasionally post those and I'll ask a couple more probing questions. I hadn't yet because I just want to get into it and kind of show you like what are some opportunities in here. So I am going to pull up, actually I'm going to pull it up this way. I think that'll work a little bit better. And the first job I have is somebody is looking for a position in volunteer management, likely nonprofit. They're hoping for a remote position. So one of the first places I would go is actually, let me switch over here to LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I would recommend for if you are looking for a role. I would not use the easy apply. That does not actually apply you for the job position. But you can go into the job section here. I'm going to type in volunteer management, but I'm also going to put these parentheses around either side because that helps me search something that says volunteer management together versus it may have the word volunteer, it may have the word management, or it may have the word both. So that's going to help me get a little bit more focused on my search. For location, I'm going to say remote right off the bat. And from here, we'll see there's 6 positions that pop up: community engagement manager, foundation fighting blindness. They have a couple of opportunities there. Actively recruiting, which is good. These are being promoted. It also depends for this person. I did not go back and ask, and I can do some follow-up to say what type of volunteer. Like, does it matter what type of organization it is? Are there certain organizations that you're not interested in, or that you are interested in? So this had only brought up 6 here. So this person can look through these. We can also take these parentheses or quotation marks, I said parentheses earlier, quotation marks off, and you'll see volunteer management. Let me go back and type remote here. Oops. So there's over 1,300, but again, this says the word volunteer, the word management, or volunteer management together. So it's going to give you a ton of different things. And as you can see, looking through it, it's not necessarily, some of them are like community outreach manager, like those types of things might be related, but there's a lot of excess pieces in here. One of the things we could do in here is volunteer. Let's actually do volunteer management. And so you can type in the word and we'll do nonprofit. So you'll see this takes away a couple hundred, it looks like. Whittles down a little bit more. There's still some excess things in here maybe that we're not interested in. The other thing I would recommend too is one of the questions I would ask to dig a little deeper in this is, are there salary expectations? Knowing that for a nonprofit organization, it's probably going to be lower than like if you went into a corporate type of role, but we could look based on salary. We could look at would it be entry level. The more that you filter down on these, the smaller your group, your population is going to get. So you already saw when we did just volunteer management by itself with the quotes, it was 6. So if I say volunteer management and nonprofit, it's only going to give me 4. So it already whittled out 2 of those. So here's some options in LinkedIn of what you can look at for that type of role. I'm going to go over to Indeed and I'm going to type in volunteer management, remote. So this one gave me 28 jobs. Now we see unpaid, treasurer. Some of these aren't really what I think of like volunteer management for a nonprofit. And knowing that there's 28 here, if I put in these parentheses, I am a human. It's bringing 55. That's interesting because usually it's be a lot less. So volunteer management committee member. Sometimes committee members, most of the time they're unpaid. These are so it's pulling up some volunteer things. So for this, I would definitely say that in LinkedIn is going to be one of the spots over Indeed that you're going to find what you're looking for. But what if we typed in one of the things that I would do is, and you can use, if you've never used ChatGPT, it's good for this type of thing. I can say, I want to explore roles related to volunteer management in open to a nonprofit organization and prefer it to be remote. What are the top 10 to 15 job titles you'd recommend I use for my job search? So I want to explore roles related to volunteer management, open to nonprofit organizations. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your spelling can even be off in a lot of these searches. Preferred it to be remote. What are the top 10? I'm going to say in the United States, even though I think that's fine. What are the top 10 to 15 job titles you recommend I use for my job search? So ChatGPT isn't like, hey, write a paper for me. It should be used to help you brainstorm and identify. So some of the search terms that we could use is volunteer coordinator, which makes a lot more sense, I think, to me than volunteer management. Volunteer program manager, services director, service learning coordinator. So you can see here, it's giving you a lot more options of what to look through for when you're doing your job search. So this is going to help you expand and find more things. I really like this volunteer program manager and volunteer coordinator especially. So I'm going to go back to LinkedIn. I'm going to do volunteer coordinator, and it's remote. Okay, so I got 3 that are remote. This one doesn't look like, oh, it is remote. Get it, recruit. So that person would have to look through these. Let's go here and type in volunteer coordinator. See what this gives us. So this is only giving us 2 jobs, so we're probably not seeing that as much then. Volunteer coordinator. Let's do volunteer program manager. No matches. I'm going to type in volunteer coordinator without the, so it gives me 13. So it gives me some different program coordinator. Okay, let's do volunteer program. Making some notes here on what possible searches, because even searching gives you idea for other things. So let's do program coordinator. Oh, it only gives me 1. So I'm going to do this volunteer program. Let's see what it brings up. We have 86. Global volunteer engagement. Some of these don't match with what we're looking for. Let me add coordinator. A lot of this is going to be playing back and forth with the words that you use, the quotation marks. Okay, so that doesn't give us much. So let's go on from Indeed. I'm going to go to Simply Hired. I'm going to start with volunteer, and here it automatically pops up coordinator. Gives me remote. So this one is giving me 35. So there's quite a few that are remote. Support coordinator, online training, director volunteer, stewardship. So some of it will depend on what type of role, like is this I believe it's a full-time role, I'm not positive, that the person's looking for. What is the estimated money that you're trying to make in it? Like what's the minimum that you need, kind of thing. So this is actually bringing up quite a few options. There's even like a temporary role, chapter and volunteer marketing, volunteer fundraising coordinator. So I would say, and it's not always going to be like one job search engine is the best. Sometimes it depends on what the role is and what's available out there. So for this person, I would say Simply Hired volunteer coordinator. Let me add program in here. Let's see if it gives us any different. So it said 35 before. This is 205. So jump from 35 to 205. Some of these may not necessarily be remote. So we said remote in here. See how it says Montana. So I'm not sure if something like that would be remote. You can click into it to look. Oh, remote within Montana, so remote within the state. But a lot of these are remote. So volunteer coordinator or volunteer program coordinator. All right, let's go. I'm going to take volunteer program coordinator into FlexJobs. So FlexJobs is one that has a majority of remote work. You can sign up to and pay, but you could, also do some searching just based on the free version. So volunteer network coordinator, this is part-time temporary, senior manager. One of the things I was thinking of doing, this one, trying to see where it told me how many jobs it came up with. I'm not seeing that. So we could also do, I know this person, there's some things with animals. So volunteer network, volunteer journey. So this one may give some ideas, but I don't know if it's the best here for this. We Work Remotely is another site. But this is only going to be certain types of fields or industries. So if any of these, so I don't think for our sake, for this job search, it's going to match. Remote work. So it's called remote.co. So let's try this here. Let's see what it brings up. This may not bring up as much either because these seem like more in a corporate type. No search results. I do volunteer coordinator just to see, but I don't know that this search engine is going to help us to what we're looking for. No, it gave us the same. All right, let's go. This is virtualvocations.com. So these are not necessarily, let me try this, and nonprofit. I know the person was open to nonprofit. It didn't have to be, I don't think. I'll type in manage. Yeah, these aren't really, I don't think the types of roles. And it's just pulling manager. Yeah, volunteer manage. The other thing is when you go to search and you type in like volunteer manage, it would pull up anything that's manager, management, like anything that has something after that. Sometimes you could put a star and it will do the same thing. So in this case, virtualvocations.com is not one. Let's go out of here. Remote.co is not one. We work remotely is not one. Flex jobs is kind of iffy on there. I would say the best one that we're going to be able to use for this job search is Simply Hired. And then we may find some things within LinkedIn. What I would recommend is in going into ChatGPT, and let me open up. If we open up our last search, we can go through and use these different titles and go through. And what I would recommend is taking those titles and going through LinkedIn. But I would actually go through LinkedIn second to, I'm actually going to take this one out. So the way that I would order this is I would start with simplyhired.com and start working with those with the quotation marks and without. And searching and finding what's in there. And then if you need to, going into LinkedIn to see what's there. Typically in LinkedIn, what I recommend when you click when you click easy apply, it could go to just a notification to the recruiter. It doesn't necessarily always apply you in all instances, is what I'm hearing. I don't know for sure. But what I tell people to do is go to the company's website. And typically when you go to the bottom, so let's say even for this person, let me go to the Humane Society. I don't know if they hire remote for any kind of things that they do, but I'm going to the overall Humane Society of the United States. If you scroll to the bottom of an organization's site, most of the time they'll have something that says careers or jobs, and you can search within here. So we can even go in here and start a search. So if you know of different nonprofits that are around the types of areas or the things that you're interested in, you can go and look in here. We can see if so they do have some virtual. So some of these are virtual. And then we could search even more in here. Coordinator. No, so there's no other. So these are very specific. But those are things that you can do and then apply from the company's website. One other thing I want to do, and let me type it into ChatGPT, is are there specific job search engines for someone looking to apply for a nonprofit role? Okay, so there's other job search engines that you may want to look for specific to like a nonprofit. Excuse me. So it's going to pop up a lot. I'm going to go to this first one and then we'll come back to that. Idealist.org. All right, I'm going to type in program coordinator, actually volunteer. I'm going to go real specific right now. So 0. So if we take off the quotes, we have 3 that come back. So development coordinator, social services coordinator. These are remote Dallas, Texas, which means you usually have to be there. This one, proposal development coordinator, remote anywhere. Those are going to be different set of skills. Let's also put in, let's try just coordinator. So 5. Client support specialist, that's specific. Let's see. Okay, so you can narrow down your search from here. So these are other, let's go back up to this. Work for good, philanthropy, news digest, jobs board, chronicle, flood empathy. Sorry about that. So there's some others in here. Volunteer match. It looks more for volunteer opportunities. So you do want to be careful too in this job search with the word volunteer because you're looking for a paid role. So typically your volunteer is not going to stand alone. You're always going to have something with that. So I would try it first without the quotes and then put the quotes around it to look for what you're looking for. So what we found from this job search is simplyhire.com is probably one of the best places to look for this type of role, which is like a volunteer coordinator, a volunteer program coordinator, a volunteer program manager, volunteer management. I think those were the key terms that we found. We found when we did a ChatGPT search, a list of different titles that we can look for. A lot of different organizations are different on what they're going to call this type of role. So I would take a look at these and try and see what's out there for that. LinkedIn may give you some, but probably not as many. So it would kind of be like a second option. And then the other thing is ChatGPT gave us this list of here are sites specific to 9 sites specific to nonprofit. So if you wanted to look for nonprofit, we can also say, can you narrow this down to nonprofit that also have remote roles? It may keep the same. It may tell you. Idealist is comprehensive. Allows you to search. Okay, so they're basically saying you can filter out remote only within those. We did go to Remote Co. and it wasn't, not exclusively for nonprofit. Okay, so they tell you a little bit more about these. So this is a great way to use ChatGPT. So you can go to ChatGPT by chat.openai.com. You can use it for free. You do not have to pay for a paid version. I have a paid version for some additional functionality in there, but you definitely do not need it. So you can use that without it. So those are some tips to help you for a job search. So tips in general for anyone who is doing some job searching out there, and then also specific for this person for this role. And I will look forward to sharing for some future roles, just some searching, kind of figure out what are some of the best job search engines to use for different roles and help from there. So drop me a comment and let me know if this was helpful or something new that you learned, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.